Terezi, wake up. You cannot wake up because you were not actually asleep. You were just taking a breather in this nice cozy pile of horrifically mutilated scalemates which were gathered here to break your fall for some reason. You wonder where you are. This is a fancy-looking room. It doesn't look like a place you would expect to find on this meteor, at least not in any strictly canonical capacity. Terezi, examine surroundings. This dapper kiwi-suited gentleman is quite familiar. You are almost positive he made an appearance in that very crowded dream you had recently. Where did he go? Something in this room smells funny. And fast. Terezi, climb stairs. You cannot ascend. The staircase is suffering from a catastrophic horn clog. Terezi, exit door. The door is locked. You will either need a key or to break it down with force. You would need to achieve an especially heightened state of determination to pull that off, though. You have been completely hornswoggled. This whole thing was a setup from the start, a trap deployed by a cunning mastermind. All of the clues are adding up. The blood, the note, the flagrant displays of tricksterism and japery. The identity of the puppet master behind all this is now painfully obvious to you. Spider Troll. Terezi, play records. You select appropriate crime-solving music to set the right mood. With this kind of atmosphere, it is highly unlikely that any crime will stay unsolved for long.
I hate a moral coward, one who lacks the manly spark. I just detest a man
Terezi,
afraid to go home
remove
in the
Midnight
dark.
Crew record.
I always...
No, this vaudevillian cornball nonsense will not do at all. This mood is just not right for figuring out crimes. You put the record back in its sleeve. Terezi, examine cover.
Who's this douchebag?
Before you can make heads or tails of who exactly this douchebag is, something rolls out of the sleeve. It appears to be a very small record. It's so small. What is such a small record doing in this great big sleeve? You got Homestuck Disc 2. You cannot get over how tiny this record is. It's adorable. You wonder what sort of music it plays. Terezi, play Tiny Record. Predictably, you scratched the surface of the disc. What were you expecting? It's almost like you don't even know what a CD is. With the disc damaged, who knows what sort of effects it will have on the data. Better store it somewhere safe to prevent any more mishaps. Terezi, capture log disc. It should be perfectly safe from any similar kinds of damage while secured in your scratch and sniff modus. Terezi, examine chest. You have spent way too much time calibrating the ambience of your investigation and not nearly enough time investigating. It is one of the most common pitfalls to being an investigator, aside from literal pitfalls, which you actually fall into. There are 2 chests in this secret room. Nothing out of the ordinary. Chests are everywhere in this lab, and people find it all too tempting to sneak their personal belongings into them for safekeeping. That is, until the goods are stolen shortly after by those who can't resist looting every chest they encounter, which is everybody. Maybe these ones contain clues. Terezi, open chest. You got your Neophyte Red Glare role-playing outfit. What is this doing in here? You have not worn it since your flopping days. The only part of it you kept on hand was the stylish pair of glasses, which of course since the incident has managed to become a regular accessory. But you cannot imagine how someone could have gotten their hands on the rest of it. Surely a crafty and resourceful criminal is at work. Spider troll, spider troll, spider troll, spider troll. Terezi, wear suit. You don the garb of the legendary Legislacerator. It brings back memories of many successful fantasy prosecutions resulting in the real executions of rival players. Those were the days. Terezi, open other chest. You got your Pyralspite plush. Pyralspite was your Scalemate sidekick during your campaigns. He was the model of loyalty, friendship, and righteous retribution. More than could be said for another partner in justice. There was no doubt about it anymore. She is clearly baiting you into confrontation. Terezi, hug Pyralspite. You embrace your old friend, releasing a mighty and majestic squeak. It has been too long, old friend. You vow never to let him out of your scent again. This puppet is becoming a nuisance. It appears to exhibit the same incredible puppet fastness properties which Dave's had. Must be some form of universal puppet enchantment. It couldn't possibly be the same one, because that would just be insane. Hey, where did Pyralspite go? Terezi, look up. There he is. How'd he get all the way up there? He has always been quite the slippery scalawag. Maybe he was reminding you to check out the note. You almost forgot it was up there, what with all your furious investigating. Most of which has involved fooling around with records, hugging plush toys, and cosplaying as a childhood heroine. Terezi, read it. Just as you thought. It is a message from Vriska summoning you to do battle. It is written in Gamzee's rich jelly-smelling blood, but it is her handwriting for sure. Her quirk is present, leaving the matter undebatable. But why the hell does she want you to bring this stupid puppet along? She's so weird. There was a journal entry on the back. It probably isn't the slightest bit relevant to the current situation, but you guess it couldn't hurt to read it anyway. Terezi, examine journal entry.
I suppose I'll have to get used to writing with this hand instead. I now do so in captivity, while I bring my awe to bear on the immensity of the subjugulator's hijinks. I took their gesture as plain avowal of my prosecution's futility. With a lone neophyte assigned to the task, how could I view it otherwise? I was sure they'd drawn from the bottom of their deck, not intending to squander more competent mercenaries on one who'd made a show of outclassing them all before. But I discovered too late that Red Glare was their wild card all along. How is one allowed to be raised by a dragon in this era, let alone one of such middling blood, the sickly hue of a gutless civil servant? Those of her caste are typically pleased to mount a sluggish collar bear or some brainless, squawking spleen fowl during petty expeditions to plaster seizure notices on gambling net property. By what fluke was this woman granted such a weapon, permitting her to luxuriate in these delusions of righteousness? Something blocked the light of the unbitten moon, treating the harbor to darkness more grim than what fell this season's apogee. I made the mistake of looking into its eyes, each like a sun concentrated into a small jewel, as two hot garnets searing through a black veil. I shut mine quickly, but the more sensitive of them was burned irreparably. When I regained sight in the other, there was only red. My fleet was in flames. The neophyte was on deck. Pyralspite, she mentioned through her ridiculous forced grin. She wanted me to know the name of the beast which was able to consume my Lucis whole. My dice were in the hold below, not that my present luck would consent to a favorable roll anyway. I made a move for my blade. She took my arm, which I'm sure she kept as the tiniest of snacks for her ostentatious custodian. Maybe she meant to prove she wouldn't need me in irons to have my submission. Bound or free, 2, 1, or none. I wonder how well she knows it's not what I do with my arms she has to fear. I await my trial.
Insert Disc 2.